Hi guys, we are back. We're going to do some second day scrapes now. So here's that reed you remember. As before, I've already done second day scrapes on this side, but now we're going to come back on this side, okay? So the first thing I do with second day scrapes is I want to see where I'm sitting. And I'm going to mark those spots that need to be adjusted. So I'm going to come in with my handy dandy dial indicator. I don't have, this is pre-marked in 3 millimeters because this is the Winstead Pro Pen. And this is the Miller Marketing dial indicator with the Winstead Pro Pen. So I'm going to come in, and this is 3 millimeters past the tip, right on the spine. And for me and for my reeds, I like to start with my tip just a hair. It's a hair thicker than where it's probably going to end up, but it accounts for inequities in the cane in case the cane's a little weak. So I want it to be at 16, and this is obviously thick. I don't know if you can see it. It's sitting at 20. Maybe I ought to pull the light. There we go. And so I'm just going to make the smallest mark on my reed. And that tells me that's a place that you can see the mark I made. That just tells me, okay, that's a place I'm going to have to scrape. I have my profiler. This is off my personal profiler, and I have it set just a touch thick, but it's pretty close to a finished reed. And so I could already tell you where I'm going to have to scrape and where I'm not. So there's some places that are going to be just fine on this reed. This will also be thick right here. This should be at 19, and it's at 23. This should be at 22, it's at 24. The next one should be at 24. And it is on target, as it should be. We should be on target for a while. That's fine. That's just a touch thick. I think I'll probably leave it for the time being. If things are one off, oh, that's two off though, I'll leave like that. If things are one off in this area, one thick, I probably leave them because when I tune the reed, they'll probably end up coming off. I tune my reeds using Mark Eubanks reed tuning. After I do a couple of days of practicing on a reed, I usually take it through Mark Eubanks reed tuning book. All right, so here's the places that are not, let me see if I can zoom this in. There. Do you see that? There's the places that are not happy. There we go. So that's better. So when I work in the tip, I'm going to work in a thumbnail shape all over. See if I can adjust the camera here. Now remember, we measured the spine, but it's all over that needs to be scraped. So you can see I am scraping in a thumbnail shape. I also take out of the spot, out of the rails, or excuse me, out of the channels, and then come across the entire reed. These are only off by a few, so I'd rather err on the side of not much, and then have to come back and take more off. In the back, same thing, I will work in the channels You notice I use different parts of my knife. It's easier for me to stay in the channels and not dig in with this top corner of my knife if I'm working with this part of my knife. So I'm going to work in the channels to make sure I maintain my shadow that I worked so hard to get, and then I'll come work over the spine. I have a little bit of chatter that I'm going to work out. So now I'm making sure I kept my shadow, which I did. And so now I'm going to recheck my numbers. See if I got them where they need to be. That is at 17. So my little personal system, I now will put the smallest dot. That means I'm one away. This is now at 20, so a dot. I'm one away from there too. That's fine. Fine. Oh, those were fine. 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 And the very back needs a little off. So these are just one away up here. It's very close. And this in the back. Again, I'll work the channels first. The back is the easiest to lose your shadow. So it's always important to scrape in the channels first. I didn't quite get enough. I did on that one, just not the tip. There we go. Okay, now that I'm set on both sides, I need to put in my tip. So for me, essentially the tip is less of a super ultra defined thumbnail and more of the shading of a thumbnail. So I'm going to come in and you can see I'm being really light, but I'm shading in the shape of a thumbnail. This so we can ease the response. When you blow into the reed, it can ease it in the vibrations into the rest of the reed. That's pretty good. You can see from the shadow that I'm a little uneven. I have more lightness on this side than this side. So I'm going to go work on that. I think you guys are seeing how much I use the light. It's equal parts working with the dial indicator and working with the light. I often, in my own mind, think it's equal parts art and science. That's a good way to think about it. I think the hardest part of the thumbnail is this very center tip. If you want the science part of the thumbnail, the very tip and the corners should register 10 or below. So I'm a little thick in the middle. My corners are fine. So I'm going to work a little more in the middle here. You can tell I'm scraping in a half moon circular shape. Never want just a straight line. That's much better. Much, much better. I still have just a little bit right here that I'm going to take care of. All right, so now I'm going to do the other side, but you guys don't need to watch for that. Good job, guys.